You're technically still in the screen. It may be better if you're a little further in, but we would need you on the mics so we can hear. Okay, be on the mic. Okay, yeah.
They also have a set list going on. Elena's number versus Meredith, and very explosively so. It's wonderful. I like your song. Thank you. I like yours. Thank you. Yours is great. It's so satisfying.
The dialogue is awesome.
The music making fun for my parents.
Let's go.
Yeah. March 3rd. Yeah. We call every night from 6 to 10 and weekends from 1 to 6.
What day of the week is that?
So we do a Thursday night, a Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday matinee night. So
I might be able to go to Sunday night.
I'll send you the date. It's because if you're gonna be in town anyways, yeah, I will get a call for you. I'd love for you to come.
Yeah, I'd love to.
These could spin
Yeah.
and go to a different thing. I think they're on like
Yeah, it's fine.
120 or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So these can either be 90, which is just the angle, so it's a right angle, or 120. But since they're cross-haired already, you're looking at two 90s, which is fine.
Oh, the other one's on 90?
This is at 120. It honestly doesn't matter.
I didn't know if that was plausible.
No. And then I would just make. Did you check the gain? Like when they were singing, did you see how loud it gets? Okay, no worries. We can check that. That's easy. If it gets,
I upped it up a little bit. You said 40, but I think I figured it up to like.
yeah. So what you just want to check in the future is see these dials. If it gets too hot or too close to the top, then just put it down. And it might be because already we're talking and it's about halfway. So depending on how loud the speakers are, especially for electric stuff, not acoustic stuff, you might need to turn it down. But we can check that as it's going. It's an easy just this.
Right, so you just
Yeah. And you just kind of want them around the middle. You don't want it to.
Right, you don't want them.
That is so screwed up. Yeah, that's like, oh my god, this guy. Wait, what am I just asking?
Sound is great. Well, we come live stream.
I see. So
That
you
was the
can't
easiest
see.
way.
Okay.
That was the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
But the sound's great with this one.
Fantastic. So we'll keep doing what we're doing.
We're adjusting.
That's great. That's awesome.
It's like,
Are we recording this? We'll keep it up online, right? It will stay online. Over there. Okay. Is that right?
I think it should, right? The webinar, we worked very well together.
wait, I really what? They changed my name too?
Yes,
Oh my god.
yeah,
So the YouTube.
I'm sorry things got so busy. I didn't anticipate it becoming a deluge of stuff, but it just happens to really work out. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everyone, take a seat, get cozy, grab a seat. All right.
It's
So I'm just gonna say this really quickly. When you are talking, if Rob's asking you a question or you're sharing some information, even though it's obviously, this is all of us live, because we're live streaming to an audience, anything that you say won't get picked up unless you're speaking through the microphone. So I'm gonna ask you all to speak through the microphone here or up here. Performers, just so you know, quartet, there's an extra mic there that I'll place once I and yes, you can say will be used against you because it will be permanently up on the New York University website. YouTube. Cool. So we have, well, actually, maybe this is where I should. Yeah, okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, live audience. Hello. This is so weird. I've never live streamed to an audience before. Hello, live stream. Can people at home see me? Okay. So just a little introduction. My name is Anna K. Jacobs. I am the director of the New York Youth Symphony's musical theater songwriting program, which is an amazing, relatively new addition to the Youth Symphony's offerings. The program's in its 4th year, and it serves student songwriters ages 12 to 22. We have an incredible cohort of, I believe, 18 students this year. And throughout the year, these students study the craft of musical theater songwriting. So we learn about different song forms, different song types, we study different musicals, and every year one of the assignments that myself and our assistant director Megan like to give out is one where the students get to vote on one movie that they want to adapt into a hypothetical stage musical. And then the students get teamed up with a songwriting collaborator, and they each choose a different moment from the film to musicalize, which means to set to a song. And this year, they voted and selected the film Parent Trap. So what you are going to see tonight is 10 original songs from our hypothetical Parent Trap musical. And every year we hold a masterclass with a Broadway composer who comes and listens to the songs and offers some constructive criticism. Our first year we had Janine Tesori. Our second year we had David Yazbek. Our third year we had Tom Kitt. And this year we have Rob Rokicki. Okay. So, Rob, I do.
Yes, Anna.
Rob and I are also collaborators, so that's why I'm giggling right now, because this is fun. Because I've actually never really had this conversation with you formally. I like to ask our guests, first and foremost, just how they found their way to music and theater. You know, we have so many young people who are starting their own theatrical musical journeys. How did you end up being a composer lyricist?
Well, I got into my first play when I was in first grade. It's a play called Going Buggy. And it was about bugs trying to get like equal representation. I was the lawyer defending them. And I had so much fun. I had one line and I was hooked and I just kept doing it. I just kept doing the plays. And then I found in high school, a friend of mine had written a play and he had hired like all of his friends in the department and they put it up and I'm like, oh, you can do that? You do that? So I went from kind of always being an actor to also always having a hand in the creative process and surrounding myself with folks. And it was really fun because it was students from all different ages. So I thought also I was learning from upperclassmen, I was learning from, you know, classmen below me and stuff. And it was really fun to test those skills. And then I started writing music. My parents are very musical, so I was always writing musicals from a very early age. I had written I'm Born on Halloween, had a lot of like angsty musicals I wanted to write. So I think I adapted when I was 13, Jekyll and Hyde. And then I was just crushed when I found out that there was going to be a Jekyll and Hyde musical. Devastated. I had a really good cover art too. The Silence Before the Storm was my excellent song no one will ever hear. And then I kept it up in college. I went to the University of Michigan as an acting major and also, or as a musical theater and English to a degree, because I've always been fascinated with world building, and Victorian literature was my major. Yes, a very useful degree. But it was, I love being immersed in a world, and I think that was my love for storytelling kind of kept going there, and it's a craft. That was instilled. A lot of writers have come out of that program that were musical theater writers, like Justin. Yeah, so I wrote my first big musical in college, and that was not good. It was an adaptation of Aeschylus's The Oresteia. Light fare. It was really light. You know, it was like, Reset is this gritty cop drama in New York. But we fully staged it, and it gave me the confidence to continue to keep writing. And then when I moved to New York, I kept doing both. I felt like whenever I was feeling stuck as an actor, I had a say. I could change things in a story that I couldn't do necessarily. When I'm like, this is me, this is what I do, and I just love having the agency that technology also, like this was right at the start of YouTube and stuff, so this was like a whole generation of songwriters were starting to use technology to be able to get their stories out without the typical gatekeeping that happens in our industry. So it was really fun to just start throwing whatever was at the wall and meeting all kinds of cool folks and building a community that way. Yeah, I just kept writing.
I'm so curious, because when you were in school, you had your school community to help you put up your musicals.
Right.
And then when you were in college, you had your college community. How did you find your people here in New York City?
It was tough. I work with a lot of different collaborators, which I think is really fun. I feel like I grow more working with someone who doesn't share my worldview or gender or anything, my age. I went to the BMI theater writing workshop. That helped me kind of hone my craft for a bit. But really, it was trial and error. It was a lot of failure of like doing concerts, doing gigs in that way to try to get people interested in your work, and then making a lot of demos to send out to producers and trying to get your head in the ring. And I did some festivals, and I had a show in the Fringe Festival that did very well in 2004. That was about perfectionism, about Martha Stewart right when she was going into jail.
What's the title of that?
It was called Martha and Me, and it was kind of examining kind of perfectionism in the nuclear family. And yeah, it was really fun and gave me, again, the confidence to go further because there was a New York audience and it got reviewed, and then it was my first taste of, oh, this is what this is like too, the kinds of expectation that sets. And I learned a ton. We had an amazing accompanist, a guy named Jim Abbott, who's also a director, music director, and arranger, who really helped me to explore more of the piano. So I was just like a sponge. I was just trying to be, okay, how did you get something in front of someone? How did I get this? You know, and honestly, it came from building a community of friends that will recommend you for work, that will say, oh, you should submit for this thing, or oh, are you a member of the Dramatists Guild, or oh, you should. You know, I hear there's submissions that they're looking for a project, and it's through that networking, not in a gross way, but in an actual like building of friendships and mutual respect of other collaborators is where you're going to find out all kinds of opportunities that you may not have even thought of before, and that's kind of how it spiraled.
What was it like for you? We have a lot of people in our program who are performers and come from this background. What was it like for you initially writing for performers who aren't you, given that you were a trained actor and singer?
Well, I think it's great if you're a performer that writes because you understand the singability of the lyric, right? You know what feels good. I always approach things from the hook. I think because I was an English major and I focused so much on essay writing, and I love writing essays, I'm a weirdo, I love writing essays, songs to me have to come with a thesis statement and the hook has to support that. And it was very much
I have to pause and define hook for people who don't know what a hook is.
A melodic phrase, usually an intervallic phrase at intervals, the distance between two notes, a relationship of that along with some kind of lyric that typically is the title of the song, right? My Shot. Right? It's that the way the word and the music come together. And that's the hook. That's when we think of
tomorrow. The hook is tomorrow.
Right. So I love finding hooks. And I played in a lot of rock bands too, which was fun to like experiment with different music styles, different music genres.
What are your instruments, Rob?
Well, I was trained on piano. My parents think only listen to classical music, which is hysterical because I only write primarily rock musicals. But I play piano, accordion, melodica, guitar, drums. So not violin badly.
And you were working on being an instrumentalist while you were also being an actor and a singer. Like, how did those two things sort of happen, or in what sequence?
I always learned. I think because my father is an excellent pianist, I was forced into piano lessons at an early age, and I didn't want to take them. And then all of a sudden, they became a really wonderful outlet for me. It was a way I could control my feelings, my emotions, a lot of anxiety. I channeled that through music, and it was such a wonderful tool. So I always had music, and I always had the piano to help me. And then when I married my two loves of storytelling with that, it was just a natural extension of that. So I never quit that. And then I got excited about the potential of learning guitar. I love the rhythmic element of that. So learning guitar opened up another palette to me of tools I could play with. And then I'm constantly having fun learning different instruments. And this past 2 years of the quarantine, I've really focused on learning the drums and the other percussionists. And I think it helps my orchestration. It helps me think about different song structures in a different way. It's the way I listen to music changes now because I'm listening to different rhythmic things. But I think always having an element of exploring instruments has been just part of my vernacular. It's been an escape as much as it's also been a tool to help me with my career.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If it's not fun, you shouldn't do it. That's my motto.
Sometimes I look at the piano and it feels like my desk, and I'm like, oh god, because when my hands go to the same chords, and I feel like, so learning another instrument or having guitar or whatever, or working with other folks, especially with other actors, other singers, it's gonna make me think about chords differently, about melodic lines, happy accidents that happen. I love writing for different voices that are not my own, because then I'm gonna come up with different ideas as well.
Your big breakout hit was The Lightning Thief. I know it started as a Theatre Works USA show and it toured a lot, and it was extremely popular. Just how it found its way to Broadway. Can you talk to us a little about that experience of having a show go to Broadway and what that was like?
It was a whirlwind. Well, first off, it was never, we just wanted to tell a good story. We had never had any high hopes of, other than just like whatever iteration that the story was in at that time, the musical was in. A book writer named Joe Trace, who had worked on a couple different projects, but he was just starting out with a guy named Joe Iconis, our mutual friend, who they were writing Be More Chill together. And Joe Iconis had said, I hear that they're writing this fantasy novel and they're looking for rock musicians. It's angsty. I feel like you should audition for this thing. So I wrote songs on spec for it. A bunch of other writers wrote songs, and then for whatever reason, the tone of what I was writing, the songs that I submitted, were a good match for book writer Joe Trace and for Rick Ryder and the author's estate, and they were very hands-on. And so we did a 1-hour version that was all it was supposed to be, and we didn't think that it would go far. We didn't think we'd get a New York run because of the rights and film rights, and this is a whole thing when you learn about adaptation that's tricky. But the show did very well, and I'm very proud that it was a part of free summer theater, so a lot of folks that had never had access to see a musical before, it's their first musical, and it did very well. We got nominated against like Hamilton for a small, off-Broadway 1-hour children's show. That was kind of an amazing feat, and it perked up some folks' eyebrows, and they said, well, could you expand it? And that's never happened before in the history of Theatre Works USA, which is the company that produced it. And so we ripped it apart and took the next 2 years to develop it and make it go from more of a children's show to a family show. And that was a crazy, fun, wild process with a lot of wonderful collaborators. And then that had a sit-down New York run, and it did well. And then out of that, we made a cast recording, and then that did well. And then it toured in some of these incredible theaters. And we went to the Beacon Theater, which was a dream come true of mine, because I got to see Randy Carlisle and these amazing people play the Beacon, and it's so rock and roll. And that to me was the biggest win, was having a production of any kind in that first 1-hour iteration. The fact, though, that there was a theater open and they said, hey, would you like to take your tour to Broadway? I thought they were kidding. I was like, are you kidding me? There were a lot of, is this the right move for a show like this? And I thought, yeah, and especially shows about friendship, shows about family, shows that have that explore genre, like fantasy, that have rock music, that are for young folks, I think belong on Broadway, and people need to see themselves. So I said, yeah, and I also wanted to give those actors who've done the show an opportunity. It was 10 Broadway debuts, and of just the actors, I mean a bunch of backstage folks too. And I used to bartend at the theater, the very theater that we opened at, which was quite a.
Which theater did it?
That was the Long Acre Theater. But I will say it was an amazing experience. But nothing will beat having that initial off-Broadway run. That is the thing I think I'm the most proud of in the trajectory of that show, because I think we equate quality with how we quantify and qualify. Commercialism, yeah. And our show is weird and scrappy and fun, and some people really love that, and some people didn't. And I think that there is room for all of it. And just because your show might be unconventional, or your show might be really out of the box, and it may not fit the mold of a Broadway show, but that doesn't make it any less valid or your art any less good. I'm very proud that the show had that little feather in my cap. But learning as an actor, because I had booked a Broadway show as an actor, and then my debut fell apart because the producer had pulled out. I kind of learned that's just the nature of the industry, of just like Broadway the myth. So I think like the fact that it happened was wonderful and great, but it wasn't. I was just excited to like share the story in a larger audience. That was the big thing. Big growth. Yeah.
I'm gonna let the students, I'm gonna leave a little time for a couple of questions. So if you want to start thinking about something you want to ask Rob, you can start thinking about it. I want to ask you one more question before we do that, though. You are still in the midst of having a new show run.
Yeah.
Punk Rock Go.
Right.
You worked with Joe Iconis on it, and you wrote the arrangements and the orchestrations.
Yeah, Joe and I collaborated on the arrangements and then the orchestration.
And what was that like as somebody who is used to writing the songs for the show? What was it like wearing that cap?
It was odd, but I think because Joe and I are both songwriters, it put us on a bit of more of an equal footing so that we didn't have more skin in the game of our own material. It was, all right, what can we do with these really fun songs? And also the show.
You have to say what songs they are.
Oh, it's a jukebox musical, which is also like, are we putting ourselves out of business? What are we doing? But part of what Joe's kind of MO was about it, his kind of thought process was, this is a show designed to get licensed for a lot of folks that would never play the lead in their school production, and he wanted those folks to be the ones that would be the lead in our show. And it was for all the weirdos and misfit characters to give them front and center, and we had a wonderful director, Jennifer Warner, and she knows comedy and she knows dance. And so it was really, not only was it tricky writing arrangements and orchestrations, but writing dance arrangements. That's something I never really had to do before. I write like kitchen sink angsty rock musicals to then go to like big production numbers. That was a challenge, but really fun one. But yeah, I think it was, Joe and I were like, all right, what can we do with these songs that subvert the expectation? And I had a lot of fun with vocal arrangement, like building different layers and doing a lot of mashups and like how do songs play against each other. We do like an Avril Lavigne triptych. There's a lot of punk. It's all the other thing that unified it was Joe wanted to have songs all from female-fronted pop rock punk bands from the past like 4 years, which is great because I think it opens up just like folks to experience some incredible music that they might not have ever gotten to hear, like Slater Kinney and Bikini Kill, along with Pat Benatar and Blondie and Cole and Garlic and stuff like that. It's like stuff that I grew up listening to the most.
I can take a question or two if any students want to ask Rob a question. Anybody? No? Yeah.
You mentioned that a lot of moving to New York has to do with networking, but not the gross kind. Can you maybe expand on that a little bit, or just kind of talk about that?
I'm just going to repeat the question so live stream people know what it was. So Brooke asked, you talked a little bit about moving to New York and networking, but not the gross kind. Can you expand on that?
Well, I think it's a matter of like, finding your folks, finding your people that you love to surround yourself with. I found that like by meeting new artists and supporting them and seeing their work and being their cheerleaders, it wasn't that kind of competitiveness that you find that I think people are expecting, where it's a constant comparison. Instead, it's like a rising tide lifts all boats, truly. Like if I'm there seeing a show of Michael R. Jackson's or Anna's or whoever at Joe's Pub or whatever, and getting to meet their orchestrator, getting to meet their accompanist, all those folks, it just gives you a whole new group of folks that are collaborators. So it's a potential to meet other folks when you support them in a way that then, yes, it helps your own career, but it's really helping you as an artist. It's helping you grow, and those other opportunities kind of happen organically, rather than trying to force collaborations in a way of like, I'm going to take a meeting with you and this is very formal, which also happens, and that's also a cool way of meeting folks. I think I prefer the organic approach of going and seeing as much theater as I humanly can, and supporting folks, and then sometimes they support you. You don't have to have the expectation also that they will. But sometimes that does really happen where this community starts to take shape. And the folks that you really like or resonate with you, they start maybe taking your stuff, and that leads to other paths and things grow from there.
So knowing what you like is important.
Yeah, but figuring out your tastes, and seeing things, because things that don't work will teach you so much more sometimes than things that do. But yeah, I don't mean to say all networking at all. It's just meeting folks is tricky. You never know. I mean, some of my students now are collaborators of mine. It all comes around. So try to be nice to folks. That's my biggest piece of advice. Try to be nice to folks, because you never know. You have no idea where someone's path is going to go.
One more question, and then we're gonna do some songs. Grace. So when you feel stuck in your writing or a lack of inspiration, how do you get past that?
I write a lot under a deadline, so I freak out. And that my first thing is freak out, have a panic attack, and then it's like, okay, I have to write something bad. I have to write something bad so I can write something good. So don't censor yourself, I think would be the advice of just like, sometimes inspiration, Thespis isn't coming down and like sitting on your shoulder saying, oh yeah, that's it. You're not gonna feel that all the time. So sometimes it's about the craft of it. It's about understanding what you've already built, the skills you built, and then just trying to apply it. But it's hard to force something that isn't coming, so sometimes take a break. Take a break, take a walk, meditate, go see a concert. I love watching live music. I think I saw like Japanese breakfast played a couple months ago when things were back on, and then before they're off, and it blew my mind. I was like, this is so great. It opened up arrangement opportunities. See everything you can, and I truly think like something will inspire you. I listen to every genre of music. I listen to all kinds of stuff, and I never know. I'm always like Shazamming everywhere. Drives my wife crazy. What was that? Oh, that was cool. I'm like, I love vinyl, so I would go. I'm like trying to collect every Funkadelic record or whatever. With Punk Rock Girl, it was like a whole lesson in learning about 80s punk and the feminist punk movement with bands like Rokicki and stuff like that. And so it inspired me to be like, oh, that's a really cool drum fill. Oh, that's really exciting. I could use a fill like that in my own stuff. Does that make sense? So yeah, you got to try a bunch of different things, but don't be afraid to write the bad version. Even if you're like, I hate this, this is awful. It's something. It's and then you can always tweak it and make it better. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start hearing some Parent Trap songs.
Yay!
And we're super lucky because in addition to having our Youth Affinity students in the room tonight, we have students from Harlem School of the Arts, Malloy Cap 21,
right,
and York Film Academy. And they, along with a few students from the MTS program, are going to be performing the song. So this is a huge cross-program collaboration.
Love that.
Yeah. And our first students who are presenting the first moment from our hypothetical Parent Trap musical are Hudson and Jordan. So Hudson and Jordan are going to come up and they are going to set the song up for you and come on up.
Are we doing the original Parent Trap or the Lindsay Lohan remake?
Lindsay Lohan.
Fantastic.
And, but I mean, not really. We're doing our spin on it, So it's, version 3. And they're going to tell you sort of what happens right before the song and introduce their two performers. So Hudson and Jordan, take it away.
So I'm Hudson. I wrote the music for this song. I'm Jordan. I wrote the lyrics. For the lyrics, we wrote about the poker scene. So I guess it's like a kind of competitive atmosphere. And it's at a time when like the twins sort of like hate each other, but at the same time they realize that they're more alike than they seem, and that they may even actually like get along more than they realize. So, yeah.
Does this happen early in the show, or in the film?
Yeah, the scene happens pretty early in the film when both of the twins meet up at their summer camp and are, starting to compete with each other. There's a fencing match before this. One of them, but I don't remember which one, gets thrown into a tub of water. And yeah, it's just sort of the competition continuing. You're sort of realizing, as Jordan said, they're more like they. And this is going to be performed by Armani and Nia. I hope I didn't say her name wrong. Sorry. Yay!
And Armani and Nia, remind us, who is Annie and who is Hal?
She's competitive like me, I admit. Though her skills are any match for mine, not even a bit. I'm polite and classy, she's bitter and rude. She's the one who started this entire feud. I know I won't lose, but playing with her is fun. The game isn't over yet, but I've already won. It's funny how she looks like me, but we have never been in sync. I hate her though, I wonder if we're more alike than we think. I can't stand to be around her, she makes me want to scream. She's nothing like me, no, she's nothing like me. She thinks she's good at everything. I guess she's pretty good at everything, but I'm better. She's spoiled and arrogant, unlike me. She may have won in fencing, but this game is mine. I refuse to lose to her again this time. The game isn't over yet, but I've already won. It's funny how she looks like me, but we have never been in sync. I hate her though, I wonder if we're more alike than we think. I can't stand to be around her, she makes me want to scream. She's nothing like me, no, she's nothing like me. Cards in my hand, but thoughts flood my mind. We can be similar because I am one of a kind. She thinks she's best at everything, but that's not true. 'Cause I'm not just competitive, I'm a winner too. It's funny how she looks like me, but we have never been in sync. I hate her though, I wonder if we're more alike than we think. I can't stand to be around her, she makes me want to scream. She's nothing like me, no, she's nothing like me, no, she's nothing like me, she's nothing like, she's nothing like me.
I just have to shout out to Dan Pardo, who's playing keys tonight.
Awesome. Oh, okay, well, great. first off, congratulations. That is a pop. I love it. That is so catchy. Talk about a good hook, right? Yeah. And like, kudos. I love how both of you have worked so seamlessly. It feels like it's written by one person, which I love. So clearly you collaborate well together. So kudos to that. I love the push beats too. I love how you syncopated with the accents of the lyric. And I love the little digs that you have, especially the repeated thing of she's really good. You know, and then you repeat that. Very smart. Love it. What made you? I love the groove too. It's like really fun and bluesy. I'm curious, what do you see these folks, their inner life of how these twins? The twin, I'm very competitive, I can tell you. Success. I'm just curious, like, is their inner life? Do you think it's kind of like low and bluesy? Or is this just for this song?
I think there could definitely be more energy in it. I think like capture as well as I do. I think that it's laid back in a way because that's their sort of outward sort of demeanor, but on the inside, it's harder to tell.
Well, I think it would play really nicely depending on what the scene was like. If the scene was them being like very kind of catty and very fast talking, that this like dark, malevolent undercurrent is happening, I think it could be a really nice juxtaposition. So maybe it is, I don't know. Also, like, your twins could have a totally different inner life and inner vernacular of their kind of genre of style of music that you want to have. Or it could be different depending on the mood, Daytime, nighttime, wherever. Sometimes that'll also affect mood a little bit. I also want to give a shout out to one of these, to an internal lyric that I think was really smart. You have things like, I've already won, it's funny how you have like one and fun, like you have internal rhymes that are going. I'm sure that was on purpose. I just love that. You're having you're having fun with the lyric, but it doesn't call attention to itself. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like lyricists can get very crafty and say, look at how smart I am. This felt like the characters, which was great. I appreciate that. One thing I might suggest going into the bridge, when you repeat the chorus, maybe the second time when you have she's nothing like me, before the bridge, the cards in my hand, you might think about, because you set the chorus once, of taking that up, of an ascending line, so that will drop you into the bridge, rather than going down again. Just to have a little bit of different play between the first A to the second A, of the structure. Yeah.
Do you wish that the bridge was set higher in singers' voices, or do you?
That's a great question. I kind of do. I feel like we were in this very kind of low, cool place, and then they're starting to lose their cool a little bit. So it might be fun for a key change into the bridge. That might be fun. Or to pop it up and play with some different intervals, maybe like the thirds there. Because, yeah, cards in my hand with the fronts. Yeah, I love that. And I love the you could like repeat that, and then you do it on true, you go higher. So I see you're building it, but I think from the top of the bridge it might be fun to play with different energy. Even just a key change will infuse that in a cool way. Even if it's modular, just do it half step up. Otherwise, I'm a big fan. I'm curious at the end of it what happens. Like, what have they learned at the end of it?
I guess at the movie at the end of the song, there's kind of like a bet that they make. That Andy is going to jump into the lake naked. If she loses, whoever loses is going to jump into the lake naked. And Annie loses. And when she jumps into the lake, Alan steals her clothes. So that's it's more rivalry going on after this all ends.
Do you think there's a world where that scene could happen in underscoring, and then like one of the twins finishes maybe a reprise of this little thing? That could be fun, or like a little, or no, maybe is that a different song moment?
So like after sort of the song ends, and then after sort of Andy's jumping into the lake, then Alan kind of sings this sort of thing. Like at that point.
Yeah. It's like I'm gonna win because she's nothing like me and I'm a winner, right? Or I'm gonna,
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting question you sort of raised, Rob. Oh my goodness, which is How does the card game play out around this song? Or does it play out around
Yeah,
this song?
is there something rhythmically too? Like, I feel like with a choreographer or a director, you could have a field day with like the fun of the cards and things like that. Is there something rhythmically that's happening too with the cards during the game, during the song?
I think that could definitely happen. And I think actually also in the scene itself, there's some sort of like important couple of things that they do that it's sort of using that rhythm with the balls in the song.
Cool.
Cool.
Like it.
Awesome work,
Nice
Hudson
work,
and Jordan.
Great.
Thank you. So good opening number.
It is. It sticks in your head too. That's what a good hook does.
So our next song is by Grace and Tiana, and they are going to come up and tell you a little bit more about it and introduce their two performers. We have a lot of duets tonight, a lot of Annie and Hallie duets. Partly because I told people they couldn't write for more than two performers because of Omicron.
Hello, I'm Grace. I'm Tiana. And our song is called Another Me. We have Camille and Marina performing it. We wrote this song musically and lyrically to capture the moment when Annie realizes that they're twins and she is convincing Hallie that they are twins when Hallie happens. Lyrically, it's very bubbly, very, see, I'm right, like, look at me, you're twins. Versus Hallie's version is just like, no, that's kind of impossible, it's weird, not twins, we hate each other. It's right after the poker scene, so it plays very interesting to like their rivalry. A little background, they get stuck in a cabin after a crate war. So it's them two stuck in a cabin. There was this really bad rainstorm that crashed their photos like their room, so a lot of stuff went out in the room, honestly. And they noticed they shared a picture that was split in two, which was their parents. So it's just it's very suspenseful and very bubbly and energetic. There's also some references to some food that they like. It's strange, so they've just discovered that they like the same food. Eat my pizza with green peppers and spices that I arrange. My dietary choices come across as quite rare. Enjoy the same food that gives everyone else a scare. You've never met your mother, and I've never seen her cry. Do you ever think about the purpose you never had? What if they sing every morning, or do they get in curls? Just imagine if your mother was just across the world. What if you had a sister too, and all of a sudden she's in front of you? It's almost like we were meant to meet. My head is spinning, but it just can't be. When I'm near you, it all makes sense to me. It's like my world just crashed into you, sister. Or you see what you really are, another Look in the mirror and what you see. I see two look-alike staring right at me. Same dark hair and excited eyes. Your locket matches some version of mine. This is crazy, but could it be? We're at the same, just couldn't see. Any identical to me. My head is spinning, can it really be? When I'm near you, it all makes sense to me. It's like my world just crashed into you. My sister, it's possible you see, because you really are another me. Well, how can they do this? No, that couldn't be unless my mother lied to me. A new life waits for me to share the same snacks and laughs, to fill a void I long to disappear. A world where I can truly be happy. My head is spinning, I've gone crazy. When I'm near you, it all makes sense to me. My world just rushed into you. My sister, it's possible you see, 'cause you really are another
Nice job. This is fun. Also has a really great groove to it. Love that. Also, I'm sorry, I never said my pronouns are he yet. Sorry, if you want to say it. I really like the groove. I like the fun that you have between the two of them. I have a couple little things that we might be able to play with to spice it up a bit. When you have, I feel like the melodic line is great, but kind of sits in one place. So if there's moments that you can pop out with some of the lyrics, that might give a little bit more punch. Enjoy the same food that everyone else gets a scare. You could put it you can make that a bluesy note. You can make that maybe not in the chord. That the scare has a little bit of a rub, things like that, to have fun with melodically what's happening as well lyrically. My head is spinning. That's great. Really catchy. I felt like there were two things I want to ask about. The interludes, they're like a long held note with the meat, and then there's some interstitial stuff happening. Do you see scene work happening there, or would that just be what's happening there?
Yeah, my vision for that was kind of maybe they're starting to put the picture, grab the pictures and clean up the room still, or just be looking at each other, kind of oh my goodness, we're sisters. This is crazy.
Cool.
With that.
Got it, because that was my question. It's just it felt stagnant for a second. So if there's stuff happening, it's very active, and I love that. Yeah. The other thing I would say, I love the harmony. It's really great.
Hey, Rob, can I add to that great point that you just made? I think that's great that they're doing things in those interludes. I think that in music or theater, it always helps to have that supported by dialogue. So this may be a great opportunity to add some internal dialogue to your song.
I love that idea.
Yeah, pacing that out, timing that out, that is one of the biggest hurdles in writing a musical. And I'm doing it with Anna right now in a project we're doing. And it's how do I lift the text, and where does the text go right back into the song, right? It's got to it ebbs and flows, right? You have this really big emotional moment, and then you kind of let it crest for a second, and then more and more info, and then another big emotional revelation. So I think that's really cool. You can even, again, on opportunity, you don't have to change keys there, but for each one of those, you could maybe have a slightly different vibe to it. I will say that the feel of the song I like a lot, but the bridge has the very same feel as the choruses, and I would love it to feel a little different there. So how can they do this, right? Because it's a little more angry, it's a little more didactic. So I feel like the accompaniment could mirror that a little bit. to like marry the lyric. How could they do this? And you still have the and these fun. The groove is really fun, but it's contrasting with the lyric a little too much. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then when you get to the end, I love it. And I was like of two minds. The phrase "in a fill a void, I long to disappear." I was like, I don't know if the vernacular of that character would sound like that or not. You have to think about like how young they are or not, or how self-aware. However, maybe they are. I don't know. It would also have to do with a bit of the like seeing it again in context of how that performance would work. I would want to see that moment again. But I think out of that, when you get to a world where I can truly be happy, that's right on. I would almost want to repeat that before you get into the final chorus, a world where I feel happy, into my head is, just to like let that final chorus really land, because it's great that last chorus. I just want to feel like we get a little bit more build. It's like getting as much as you can out of that bridge, you know what I mean? Just get a little bit of oomph so that when we come back to our hook, that kind of chorus, you just feel the audience has that good feeling. Oh, we're back home. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed it. It's got a great groove to it. Thanks, Chris.
We're going to do 2 more songs and then we're going to take a brief 5-minute break. So our next song is by Devere and Will. So Devere and Will are going to come up and set it up for you and introduce their performer.
Hello, I'm Devere. I'm Will. I wrote the lyric. I wrote the music. And this song is taking place while Hallie is in a plane on her way to meet her mom that she's never met. And she's wondering what her mom will be like. And hoping that her mom will like her for who she is. And our wonderful performance is Jake.
She looks, her eyes are green, we share that gene. I know where she lives, but not much more. I hope that she'll be all that I want, all that I need. I can't know for sure, so I just will wait. I'll keep on wondering, I just she'll like me too, hug me and hold me close. I just hope she'll take me from this tear-stained blue. So I'll wait and I'll want the love she can give. I know that I'll love the little things that mom will do. I know that I'll feel alive with her. The walks in the park, the shopping trips, so much I've missed, and now is the time. So I just can't wait. My heart is thundering. I just hope she'll like me too. My hairdo, my pink shoes, my style, my smile. I just hope she'll take me from this tear-stained blue. So I'll wait and I'll want the love she can give. I want drama that will surely come to pass. I just hope she'll take me from this tear-stained blue. So I'll wait, and I'll want the love she can give, the love she might give.
Wow. And Jade, wow. Oh my gosh, y'all are so talented. My God. That was beautiful. I love the harmonic kind of musicality of this song. I love where it goes in very surprising places. Love a 3/4. I'm a big sucker for a 3/4. 6/8 is my favorite time signature. I love this moment that you chose because I feel like the stakes are really high. It feels like a musical moment in a show where someone is having a bit of like what's going to happen on a plane where they're in their head and they're trapped and they can't go anywhere, right? So they have to be thinking about these things. I love that. I'm so curious about so many things, but my main one is the tear-stained blue. What an amazingly cool image. We always talk about in writing classes and stuff about like fresh imagery. That is a great fresh image, but what is that? What is tear-stained blue?
Like thinking that maybe there was like a storm going on outside the airplane. People would not talk.
Got it. It is a very cool and very metaphorical kind of phrase. So I'm of two minds. One of me, like part of me is like very cool. I feel like folks like Nice Mitchell write really cool, amazing lyrics like this that are kind of more esoteric. I'm curious if it feels right for the age of these characters or not. I don't know. I don't know the answer. And I'm just one opinion. I honestly don't know. It does take me out of the song for a second because it is so unique and cool, that beautiful image. So maybe keep it, I don't know. It's just cool. It's very cool. It makes me think. I don't know. It's an interesting, it's a really unique lyric. And it sticks out because of how unique it is. I like some of the things you've done also to marry the lyric with the music. When you have triplets, and there's a lot of triplets mixed in with the 3/4, which is cool. But you have the triplet, thundering. That's a great marriage of the lyric and the music doing the same thing. So nice job with that. I also like that you're playing with like kind of all over the keys, and I love what Dan's doing there. It's kind of like the groove is like you're not just staying in one place in the keyboard, which is a sign of a seasoned pro. Honestly, I was always stuck in the middle of the keyboard for forever. So I think like being able to expand your palette, you get so many more colors musically there. The only other lyrical thing I want to talk about is I want to see that my love is not trickery. That one lyric stuck out to me because I thought, I don't know if trickery feels like because it just hangs in the air a little bit longer. It also doesn't need to rhyme with anything there, so I'm curious if simplicity might be your friend there of it isn't a lie or it isn't whatever, you know what I mean? Again, when I approach a song, I'm thinking about the vernacular of the character. I think about like their colloquialisms, the way they would speak. So I might like go back and listen to a couple to the lines in the movies to see, is there another word that she might use? And if she uses trickery, then by all means use it, because it just stuck out to me. It's like, oh, that's an interesting word there. Does it feel too like, I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to add for Rob. This team's process was so fascinating to me, and I think a testament to Devere and Will's brilliance. So Devere is a very gifted violinist, and Devere wrote this song music first, and then Will superimposed the lyric over the music. That is one moment where if I were Will, I would try and convince Devere to allow a one-syllable word. That is one moment where I think that maybe the music would have to give to accommodate a more complicated possibility.
That brings up a really cool thing, though, is a lot of folks write lyric first. I love writing music first, but I write hook first primarily. That's what I think of the central idea thesis-wise. But I think there's something really fun about writing music first as a lyricist, because I know that could be maddening because you want to like lock into something soon. But I think it frees you up for different rhyme schemes that you might not have ever thought of before when you get musical impressions in your head. Maybe cool lyrics like Thirsting Boot come out of hearing that beautiful music. It's really harmonically interesting. Every time I was hearing it, I wanted to listen to more of it, which is a sign of a really cool song. So nice job, nice job. Really.
So we are gonna have our last song before we have a little 5-minute break. And this song is by Elena and Anais, and they are gonna come up and set the song up and introduce their, well, actually they're not, because Elena is performing.
Amazing. By the way, Will and Devere, they have got to get Jade to perform that for their next iteration of it. She's amazing. Good job.
Center stage. Oh yeah, and Anais is in this too. Oh, I didn't wipe. Don't do anything yet. Okay.
Oh, I had one other thing to say while we're waiting. Devere and Will. I think the last thing that she might give, leaving it hanging, I love the idea of leaving it hanging rather than buttoning it with that little chord at the end. There's something so beautiful you've created with the tension. Yeah. Where it doesn't feel totally resolved. As soon as I put a dunk at the end, a little bump, then I feel like the song is resolved, and this song is about not resolved. So I feel like it might be fun not to give the audience, unless you really want an applause. Sometimes you give a little dunk and then the applause happens. Or you can use that the suspension of the unresolved to send energy into the next scene.
Okay. Hi, I'm Anais, use she, her pronouns. So to set up this scene, this is Meredith, not the stepmom, but the stepmom-like character. She is Hallie's dad's girlfriend. And this is, in our eyes, she's kind of the villain of this story. We'd like to say that the story of the Parent Trap is told through the perspective of the twin girls. So to see this woman in the way of getting their parents back together, she is the villain of the story. So we kind of gave her a nice, like, power solo moment to kind of assert her dominance as the adult figure in Hallie's life. And yeah, think of it as like evil wicked fun. Yeah. So Elena's gonna be Meredith and I will be Hallie. Well, Annie being Hallie.
Yes, I am Elena and I use she, her pronouns, and I am singing it and she wrote it.
Are you gonna take her mask off?
Oh yeah, sorry.
2022, nobody even notices when they're wearing masks.
Yeah.
It's so comfortable.
Holly dear, don't worry. I know you have it wrong. Your world's changed in such a hurry. Life without a mom is tough. I'm not trying to replace her. I can't help loving your father.
But if you ask me, isn't marriage supposed to be based on something more than just sex?
Listen here and listen close, you spoiled brat. I don't know who taught you that you can talk to adults like that, but I am not just going to sit here and take it while you harass me. Girls like you are everything I hate about the world, with your big conceited smile and your hair so nicely curled, with your rudeness and your smugness and your self-important mind. And most of all, I hate that you're so stupid and so blind. Not all of us had vineyards where the money grew on trees. You think you know the slightest bit about me? Darling, please, I didn't have a dad who lied to me and said things would be fine. So when you treat me like I'm naive, then I have to draw the line. My mother would wear fancy coats that cost less than they looked. She didn't smile and always ate a lot less than she cooked. My father glared at me like he wished I would go away. And when I'd ask them for advice, here's what standing here, so certain that you're right. I'm gratefully conceited, you can bark but barely bite. With those useless baby teeth you should be done with at this age. You've never known the real taste of necessity or rage. Never shouted at the dinner table, vying to be heard. Never had to prove yourself to give some meaning to your word. Oh, everything I've ever had, I fought somebody for. And I've learned that there's no harm in fighting just a little more. My mom stuck me in scratchy skirts to make myself a name. Don't cry or fuss, don't be a fool, it's all part of the game. My plastic smiles, what bought us our new house on Lake Chapelet. And when I'd ask them why I did it, here's what they would say. Everyone's your enemy, you're only good alone. Nothing ever comes for free, you take it on your own. There's no such thing as fairness, and there's no such thing as love. 'Cause all of that gets left behind when you go from push to shove. So there you go, I never lose. And I've never been in love, but loveless life is what I choose. That's how I rise and how I stay. And I won't tolerate a pest like you standing in my way. 'Cause everyone's my enemy, I'm only good alone. Nothing ever comes for free, I take it on my own. There's no such thing as fairness, and there's no such thing as love. 'Cause all of that got left behind when I grew from push to shove. Everyone's my enemy, I'm only good alone. Nothing ever comes for free, I'll take him on my own. There's no such thing as fairness, and there's no such thing as love. 'Cause all of that got left behind when I grew from push to
Amazing, sit in the hot seat, you two. Fantastic work.
Wow. This is great as well. If you're a writer and you can sing and you can present your song, it's a great tool as well when you have to do a backers reading and you have to do things like that. So being able to sing your own material, you don't have to, but it is a great asset that you're able to do that. And you sound so good. I mean, nice job. There's so much here to unpack. This is fantastic. There's a lot of great stuff happening. I think, there's comedy in dynamics. There's a lot of dynamics here, and I think you can mine it for everything. And I would go back in your scores and be as specific as you can about how loud and quiet you get. I also love the octave jumps and the things you're doing, the kinds of placement that's happening here. The beginning feels like you're setting it up very lovely, and then you have just that one C minor chord, the little minor chord, and give us a little of taste of what's to come. So I love that you're setting that up so nicely, right? It's like songs like Killer Instinct, stuff like that, right? Where you set up a nice, happy verse that is going to then pay off down the line with a really aggressive and scary or minor chorus. So I like that a lot. There's some really cool things happening with the lyric, and you follow lines of thought really in a really cool way. She didn't smile and always ate a lot less than she cooked. I love that so much, especially also the line about the baby teeth. You're talking about teeth, and then you follow it with "You've never known the real taste of necessity." Oh wow, what cool lyrics! So cool. I also love you have a lot of sibilance and alliteration. That can be your friend for sure. It felt right for this kind of a character. When you have the kind of sibilant things, it can make the character feel even that much more nasty. I love my mom stuck me in scratchy skirts to make myself the name, and then you have this alliteration: don't cry or fuss, don't be a fool, it's all part of the game. It's in keeping with the character, but you're also using these sounds, these plosives, and there is a sibilance and alliteration stuff. I think that's really cool. It is revealing the character and also like giving us really fun things for the actor to play with. It seems fun to sing. But it seems like you're having a blast singing it too, right? It's the kind of song that you want to sing. I will say, like, in the bridge, I was just like, when is this going to open up to a different vibe? And then you gave me that for the bridge, so thank you. I can almost even hear the orchestration. And if you play it like measure 126, you like hear the like swelling of the cellos and stuff during that. I just love that. Yeah, I just love, yeah, I love what you're doing there, both rhythmically and musically, to create a different sense of build there in the bridge. Then you do something I really liked, because I was looking for it, and that is when you go from everyone's your enemy, everyone's your, and then you turn it to your own self, and you say, everyone's my enemy, I'm only good alone, right? I love that turn there, and you saved it for the last chorus, which I think is fantastic, and you get it up the third. So you're getting extra mileage and creating an arc. It's giving your song that much more of a build, which is really smart. It helps it from feeling like all at one place. So nice job with that. The only lyric quibble I might have is grew or grow from push to shove. It is such a interesting lyric turn. I feel like the colloquialisms go from push to shove, so grow from push to shove struck me as a little odd. It stuck my ear out a little bit, so I'm not sure if I'm like totally buying grow from push to shove. Also, that's really hard to say. You did it perfectly, but grow from push to shove, yeah. Well done. Where are you in the, like, who wrote what first, or how did you work together?
So basically, it was us on FaceTime every, like, whenever we were going to do whatever. It was like a little bit of like a, and then we just kind of having more of these kind of experience more. Like, we didn't really have a set music and lyrics person. We just kind of talked until we came up with a vision that we both liked, and then we'd come up with some stuff on our own time, and then got together.
Well, you have like 3 really cool sections, right? First you have this like verse of the song, which kind of sets up the world of it. Then when you get into the body of the song, you have this like interesting verse where you like explain yourself, your childhood, and then do this pre-chorus that's really killer, and then the chorus, which is like dynamite, right? And then you have this bridge that opens it up, and then you go back to the chorus, which I thought it feels cohesive, even though I know there's a lot of pieces together. It does go on a nice journey with all the different sections to it. Because if you're also going to do a song this long, it needs to have different places to go. So I like the build that you're creating for it.
I wanted to ask you a question about that, Ro. So, full disclosure, my students were asked to write verse chorus songs for this assignment because we are looking at that song form currently.
Well, there you are.
But as you know, verse chorus songs aren't as common in musicals as AABA songs or similar.
Right.
And have become increasingly more popular, I think, as pop and rock music has found its way into musical theater. But it makes the form makes the song longer, and this is essentially a solo number. What do you think about the duration of song? Like, how would you handle the song that long?
This song feels like a dance number. This seems like, what is the villain? Just Baltimore Crabs, that kind of thing. Like, there is like, it feels like, or like a Beetlejuice, like I want to have like something there, right? It seems like there almost feels kind of an out of family too, with the kind of minor chords we have. So I think like if you're gonna have a song that has these epicness to it, the size and scale to it, I definitely hear these orchestrations in my brain of where it might go. It feels big and lush. I might think about where that would go staging-wise, choreographically-wise, who you might want as a director already, and those kinds of moments. I tend to write very short songs. I love the format of a pop song, the kind of simplicity of verse chorus, but you can also unpack a lot of information in a verse chorus. But I love a good bridge. I think a bridge is a great place to have development, a great place to go to a different tone shift, so that when you go back to the chorus, you've gone to a new place. So I think there is absolute reason to doing a song form in this longer way, but yeah, you have to justify it with what you want to do. Nice job.
Beautiful, Anaïs and Elena. Thank you. So we are going to take a 5-minute break. It is 7:16, so we will be back at 7:21.
I just wanted to. I'm scared to like mess up this. Yeah. Actually, there is a room.
Alright folks, if you can grab a chair, we are going to get back into our second half. We'll be with us in one sec, so I just want to have everybody make their ways back to their seats. Thank you. All right, everybody, we are back. So we have 6 more songs to share. We also got a question from one of our online viewers. So I'm gonna say, I don't know how this is gonna pan out timing-wise, but if we do have a little time left over at the end, I am happy to ask Rob a few of those viewer questions. Maybe Jeremiah just text me the screenshots and I'll.
I did.
Okay. If more come in too.
Okay, sure.
And so our next team is the team of James and Ayala. Oh, and they're already on the scene. And they're gonna set their song up and then bring their performers up.
Hi, so my name is Ayala Denor and I wrote the lyric.
And I'm James Pecora and I composed the music.
So our song is called More Than That. So for some context, Callie, posing as Annie, asks her mother Elizabeth to tell her about her dad.
Meanwhile, all the way over in California, Annie asks the same of her father Nick. And soon the parents realize that there might be something more to their old relationship than they initially thought.
So Annie will be played by me, Callie will be played by Megan McCormick.
Nick will be played by Alex Cannon, and Elizabeth will be played by Bella Castillon.
So we had a lot of fun working on this project, and we hope you enjoy.
Thank you so much.
The microphone's being hot. Oh, you still have mic?
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody find a stage manager.
Mom, thank you so much for taking me on this trip.
Of course, darling. It's not like we went to Versailles. I just took you to see the new line.
I know, but I feel so lucky to get to see these little pieces of your life. It's just that it feels like there's something missing, something important.
And what might that be?
Dad. My dad.
Oh, Annie. What's all this about?
Please, Mom, tell me about him. I think it might be time.
Your father was American.
Oh, really?
He lived in California.
Okay, tell me more.
I never thought to tell you.
But tell me.
Because you never asked before.
Tell me something deeper.
No, I think it's rather late.
Come, let's sit, Mom, let's sit.
And we'd best be getting home.
No, come sit and tell me more.
And the cleaner comes at 8.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure.
He takes 90 at the door, and we must abide his door.
Mom, just cut the crap and tell me.
Annie! Did you learn this language at camp?
Yes.
Oh, Annie. How odd. It's like you've changed so much and you haven't changed at all.
I want you to tell me about my dad.
I'm not sure. Maybe tomorrow. I'm horribly tired.
Mom, if I ask you tomorrow, you'll say the day after. If I ask the day after, you'll say the next day. 20,000 tomorrows later, I'll still have no father, and you'll be in a casket wishing you had simply told me that night in the park when you had the chance.
Well, that was well put. All right then, 5 minutes. Now, what was I saying?
Dad.
Oh dear. Yes. Your father. Well, your father was a rural sort of person. He wasn't much for social life like me. I stayed with him a year there, a sorry, stubborn year there, but God, that place was lovely as can be. The vineyard, the greatest expense you've ever laid your eyes on. The sprawling grapevine crawling through the landmass. That man could pour his soul into a wine glass. Oh, Annie, I think that you would like that place.
Sure, I would like that place.
Oh, hell, you'd even love that place. Our vineyard, and something much more than that.
Hey, pal, I wanted to talk to you about something.
Yeah, Dad?
Well, you know, Meredith and I...
Dad! Why did you and my mother separate?
Hon, I don't think now is the time to... Where did this come from?
It's just that I never knew her, and I know that she loved me, and that you took me, and that she never wanted to see me again.
Oh, pal, don't say
So
that.
why did you separate?
She was very... And I was never... So when she left me, I never thought to... Hallie, have you ever picked a grape and thought it kind of looked a little tart? And when you went to pop it in your mouth,
Yeah.
it turned out it was rotten from the start?
No.
Well, sometimes married people grow apart.
Oh. So that was it then. Your love was a bad grape.
Yeah, you could say that, I guess.
Wasn't there anything you liked about her? Anything wrong?
Oh, sure. She was nice. She was very pretty. The kind of person everybody gets along with. Oh, and you'll love this. You know what she did?
What did she do, Dad?
She made dresses.
Dresses?
Yeah, your mom was pretty fussy about those dresses. She'd stay up sewing fabric every night. I visited her shop once, her manic London shop once. When I tell you something glimmered, I mean bright. The dresses, the prettiest things you've ever laid your eyes on. And I'm not one for girly junk, you know that.
I know that.
But something still was magic in those dresses. I think you would have liked them. Oh hell, you might have loved them. Fabric, just clothing, and something much more than that.
Something more.
Something more.
You were walking through the vineyard after some rain. The moon was full and soft and white as milk.
We were talking about parents, about children. She took my hand and hers was soft as silk.
We just laughed and walked along. Nothing mattered in the moment but the sunrise.
I was naive. She was strong. I thought the vineyard was a place we both belonged.
Sometimes I wish he hadn't been wrong. The most beautiful place you've ever laid your eyes on. I sometimes like to think of you and me there.
Picture how a life would be there.
God, if only you knew.
I think I might have liked her.
Yes, I'm sure I might have liked him. I may have even loved him.
The trials, the messes,
That moment our children,
and something much more than
Oh, yeah. Meredith and I are getting married.
What?
Yes. Wow. Lord, that was a whole musical in and of itself right there. Fantastic work. That is a lot. How well you incorporated the dialogue back and forth within the song. You're balancing 4 different characters, and each one of them felt authentically their own, which is lovely. And you created this beautiful motif, which I feel like I want to hear again. That I feel like you could use for other parts of the show. You know what everybody's working with motifs, right? It's like musical idioms that you can use for like dramatic mileage later on when you have like a reprise or something like that, right? With the dresses, which I feel like when they see each other, you could absolutely do that again. It's the subtext we get. It's their themes, which I love. The music also feels like these characters in a good way, right? You have lower, kind of more mature registers for the adults, and you have more kind of bouncy, effervescent, higher soprano for the girls, which I thought was great. I think like even how your music is notated, you're really specific, which I think is great. And something I learned later than I wanted to, of just how specific you should be, if you can be, with your sheet music, if possible, because it makes it all the difference in the world. If you play that little figure at the beginning, Dan, the little staccato, they're plotting. This is plotting music, right? The girls are like sneaky, and then listen, you have this little sustain right? The ideas are cooking, and I love that you have the little tenuto marking above that. That's really subtle, but it's smart. You're thinking like dramaturgs, which you have to, which is really great. And I love how you have the like cut the crap and tell me, where she breaks character, right? She reveals that she's like drops the accent for the second too, which I love. 6/8 is gorgeous. This vineyard motif, and I love, which I think also, like, if you understand music theory, it's helpful. It's not always you have to, but understanding kind of what certain chords do can help you play with them in a fun way for your palette. I love 9 chords and suspensions because it creates a dreamy texture. And you have those all over the place in this. You have the third and the bass, you have stuff where nothing feels totally resolved, but you have this beautiful kind of tapestry you're creating with a moving bass line and this very notey right hand. I love that. It's really beautiful. It creates a sense of expansion, right? It's nostalgia, it's the dream, it's the vineyard. I'm getting all of that by this beautiful, notey, fun, different kind of music that we get in that section. The lyrics, I really, really want to put a kudos, shout out to the grunting stuff that the dad is doing. I love when folks don't just put actual words on something. It's something actually that I love about working sometimes with folks like Joe Iconis too. It's non-lexical vocables, you know, where you have like things like the way people talk, and I love that you did that in the character. You can't articulate it. She was very, and I was never. She left me. Great. I mean, like, we know what they're going through, and it doesn't, and it feels totally authentic to the character. I don't know whose idea was that. Were you just like it? Like what? No.
Originally, like, he kind of just trailed off, and then like Annie, right? Annie was like taunting him, and then Anne suggested
Great. All right. One thing I will say is, if you establish a rhyme scheme in the first verse or chorus, I would love to see that happen in the second verse or chorus, just because you've set up that expectation. This doesn't even have to do anything with like perfect or near rhymes. It's just a matter of like having some kind of rhyme scheme. So I noticed the first time you had like wine glass and landmass, which I loved, and then the second time you had prettiest thing you've ever laid your eyes on, and I was thinking about what, then it goes into you know that. Is that an opportunity to have a rhyme there? It just stuck out to me. Maybe only because I love landmass and wine glass so much, I was expecting like a rhyme that juicy the second time around. So I don't know. I want to think about that.
totally something I could think about. I've been interested recently in exploring non-rhyming, like for specific emotional feels, but
Sure.
I think that certainly, like, I think the most important thing is that it is soothing to the ear, and you know, when it flows. Like, I don't want there to be any moment where somebody listens and they're like, oh, that line kind of sticks out.
Well, you know, this is also one opinion, so please take it with a grain of salt.
But Rob, I think it's an interesting opinion because the music it mirrors. It's what you expect. So if the word or the rhyme is not what you expect, I wonder whether music can help us slightly by also using that.
It's more like if you're playing a game and you set that up, then I want to see it follow through or subvert that expectation.
I think that moment is not the moment for like surprise or anything that's jarring to the audience. So we'll
yeah, I'm just such a fan of this, and the way that it comes out at the end, the different themes all coming together. It's really smart writing.
You should have seen the audience when they all finally sang in four-part harmony with each other. I saw Elena and Anais like grabbing each other.
And what I loved was this is also a sign of some good writing here, is like giving dramatic punch to the very end of the song. You could have just said the vineyard, the dresses, the vineyard, the dresses, and been done with it because they're sitting in that nostalgia. But then you get something that almost feels like a Lorenz Hart lyric here, which is that kind of bittersweet thing that I love about a song like My Funny Valentine or something. Whereas love is always bittersweet, and you get the trials, the messes. I was like, oh, that's gravy. That is just gold. I love that. So smart. And can you play, Dan, just the motif at the very end at 131? It's got lift, it's got expectation, you've got this anticipated beat in the left hand while you have something busy happening here. this feels like to me like the motif of the parents. I would love it if you had more time to like play with all of your different motifs and all the things that you built and find a cohesiveness to all of it. If you did it all in one sequence, be like, "Ooh, I really love that. Maybe we could steal it in our song and put a little of that, you know, and something like that." But that is beautiful, beautiful writing. Nice job.
Okay, so now we have Will coming back. Share the song. Will is going to set us up and then bring out.
Okay, so basically, this whole thing has just been sort of like a ragtag sort of like thing that's happened. So basically, this song was conceptualized as basically it's Tessie and Grandpa, essentially two supporting figures, you know, both on one household and like one twin. And you know, they're both sort of figuring out that, you know, they're imposters, you know, the twins, you know, they're pretending to be each other. And so basically, this is that song process. Unfortunately, today one of our performers, Nonka, is under the weather. It will soon. So Megan McCormick will be taking her role as Tessie, the one on Hallie's side. Andrew Nakamura will be Grandpa, who is on Annie's side. And then we will be having Ashley as the twins, and then a very special cameo of Anna Jacobs as Andy the dog.
There's something strange that's going on here. Nothing is wrong, but something ain't right. Like something's gone, but everything's still here. It must be hidden in plain sight. What could it be? Please, Andy, calm it down, would you? Sorry about that, Hal.
Oh, it's fine. I'm sure he just needs causing me fright. Anyways, I have some arithmetic to do. Ta-ta!
Since when has she been Miss High Society? Andy is now always in a fuss. Hal now thinks that she's a lady of the court. Lost her appetite, I guess she feels sickly. Camp really does change her sort. I miss the old Hal. I have been missing her for days. I miss my old pal. I miss her and her sporty ways. I miss my old gal and how she called my food gourmet. So I guess what I'm trying to say. She's a little off today. She's a little off today.
There's something strange that's going on here. Like some new devil coming to light. Like something's gone, but everything's still here. This can't be more than a slight. What could it be? My, Annie, isn't that your third portion?
Yes, but I was playing soccer, football, with my friends, so I wasn't quite the appetite.
Since when has Annie been sporty? The beef bourguignon is nearly depleted, all thanks to one ravenous girl. When we watch film, she kicks Bennett like Beckham. I guess foreign camps put your head in a twirl. I miss the old Anne. I have been missing her for days. I miss my old gal. I miss her and her dainty ways. I miss my old pal and how she gave my life an aim. So I guess what I'm trying to say. So I guess what I'm trying to say. She's a little off today. She's a little off today.
It's almost like she's a different person.
It's almost like she has been replaced.
It's almost like she has a twin.
Wait!
But where could they swap?
At camp, perhaps.
So that's why she's off today.
'Cause she's not her today. I miss the old Anne. I have been missing her for days. I miss my old pal. I miss her and her dainty ways. I miss my old pal and how she gave my life an aim. So I guess what I'm trying to say. So I guess what I'm trying to say. She's a little off today. She's a little off today. She's a little off today. Nice job. Sorry for putting all these notes. I love this. It's really fun. And you wrote all of this? Yep. Gosh, well done. It's really fun, and you're juggling it a lot, right? You have a lot of storytelling to do here. So I love that you established this bouncy kind of off-kilter melody here. Even though the word strange, this is kind of what I think I was talking about with one of the groups too, like playing with even the note. Dan, what do you have at the beginning there? Yeah, it's just a little, you have these little chromatic moments that I think are really fun. I love that, as they're trying to figure it out. The music is starting to ask the question of like, something's off, right? Which I love. A lot of minor stuff. It's really fun. We get to, okay. I think there's a couple lyrics that are really brilliant, and then some that I feel like I want a little bit of clarity on. So like, one of my favorites was the beef bourguignon is nearly depleted. I thought that was brilliant. I love it so much. But then like, I guess foreign camps put your head in a twirl. I don't think I've ever heard the expression put your head in a twirl, unless he says it in the movie. Is it a British thing?
I think it's a British thing.
All right, well if it's a British thing, then it's a British thing. Well, I will say, they say some strange things. Your dog's bollocks. What does that mean? I know it means that sort of. I miss my old. Okay, so here we go. You set up gal pal because right of the rhyme without, but then Anne doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
And did you think about trying to make a rhyme with Anne?
I did, but I was just not slaving over a rhyming dictionary and trying to go through my head thinking, how can I do this? So I was just like,
Well, there's other things you can do to get around it, so you don't have to say Anne. You know, you don't have to say they're both of their names. You could have just said pal, gal. But what I missed is because I heard the first name that I wanted it to happen the second time. It's again of like setting up an expectation. I want to see what you could come up with. I bet you could, with a little more time, figure out something. I like she has a twin weight. That's really fun. I love that. That was a great moment.
That was a rewrite too.
Was it? Oh, I love that.
Last minute rewrite.
There you go. I tell ya. A show is never done, by the way. A show, somebody just tells you have to stop working on it. Usually a producer, or you have an audience.
But I've made changes to shows up until literally a half hour before an audience happens as they come. So like, keep tweaking all the way you want to. Yeah, it's the how and thing that I wanted, and I think like when you got to the twin, wait, I wanted a key change. I wanted something different there because like something, right? You get this moment of realization, and then or when they start singing in unison. I miss the old aunt. I felt like that could be a moment of lift or something else going on there. Also, it's an opportunity for harmony. I know it's like tricky to figure that out on the spot, but I feel like you could have also like worked with your actors too, and maybe even like grab the third and see what that sounds like and stuff like that. Because I think it would have been really fun to see where the notes rub and where they come together, rather than just unison for the end. And then, I mean, I really love the melody and the bounce of it. I want to know like what happens at the end of this.
Realization.
Right, but she's a little off too. That's why she's a little off. I'm guessing to say she's a little off today. She's a little off today. She's a little off today. But I think like what I'm thinking in my head is, and we're gonna do something about it. And we're, you know what I mean? The realization, the turn of not just, yeah, it's, oh my God, they lied to us, they swapped places, but like, and we're on to them. You know, I feel like there's just one other turn that I'm thinking dramaturgically that I want to have happen at the very end of this that might give you some more comic bang for your buck too. It could even be a pun on the, you know, she's a little off today and I turned on to an idea or whatever. I know that's terrible, but you know what I mean? Like something that you can play with that leads us into whatever the next scene's going to be. Take it or leave it, I don't know. But I do love the kind of fun, what's going to happen? I don't know, that you've created with the suspense of not having, of having all that detached musicality in there. I think that's really fun. Nice job.
So now we're going to have Ava and Brooke come up to share their songs. We're going to set it up, and then they're actually.
Ooh. After the audition. Let's go right to it. Suga, do you want to set this up for me? What's happening here?
Absolutely. So basically,
into the mic, sorry.
So the moment that we chose is from right after Elizabeth sees Meredith and her ex-husband getting a little frisky in the elevator, and she doesn't know that it was Meredith, so she goes to the bar, gets a little drunk, and then starts complaining to this beautiful woman who happens to be Meredith. And Meredith is really not having it until she realizes that Elizabeth is this famous wedding dress designer, and she really wants to get married in one of her dresses to Elizabeth's ex.
Got it.
Hi, Ava, this is Brooke, and we wrote the songs.
Got it, yes. So you're the wedding dress designer.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Strongest thing you've got, please. I don't care what's in it, I'll take it.
Martini, dry, olives.
Of course.
Excuse me?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I'm all out of sorts. You're simply very beautiful. Lots of beautiful women drink martinis.
That offends you because?
Today I'm not too happy with beautiful women. One was with my ex-husband. Now my world is spinning.
So you've decided to hate the whole lot.
Why not? God, what is in this? I think I just drank tar. Perhaps it's the man you should blame.
That's funny.
He doesn't feel the same.
Oh, honey. You're a little young to be giving me advice.
I was just trying to be nice.
She was gorgeous. Very, very tight dress. Tall and blonde and perfect and God, I hate her, I hate her, I do.
Another martini, please.
But the worst part of it all, from the rise to the fall, the cake topper of this horrible dream was that she looked a little bit like me. She looked a little bit like when I was 20 years younger and a million times dumber and so in love with my darling, charming husband, that girl. She looked a little bit like me. She looked a little bit like me.
Thank you. James? Are you Elizabeth James?
We met.
I've always wanted to get married in one of your dresses.
See, when's the wedding?
This year, hopefully, if his freaky little daughter doesn't ruin everything.
Oh?
She's the worst. Extremely annoying.
Sorry.
She's tiny and perfect, and I don't deserve this. I hate her. I hate her. I do.
I'm not quite sure I'm ready to pay for the tab.
My fiance and I, and you and your ex, ought to sit down and drink. We can talk about weddings and dresses, and maybe it'll go better than you think. This tiny thing for me.
I don't think that's for me.
A little favor for me.
Honey, I'm very busy.
Oh please, Elizabeth.
I can't, I'm very sorry.
Meredith.
You're prospecting, I see. You remind me of me before my youth was no more than just a dream. You sound a little bit like me. A little bit like me. Across the room and I all these years so many times. And so in love with my darling, charming ex-husband. She was gorgeous, like a very, very tight dress, tall, blonde, perfect. God, I hate her, I do.
What can I say? You make me a dress.
Sorry, I'm not taking any requests.
Anything you want, name a number.
I want back my ex.
Great work. Get in the hot seat.
Nice job. All right. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, so I'm still trying to figure out who these folks are a bit, but I think I'm getting it. It's so you are the. What is your relationship to the twins? Yeah.
I am the TV step.
Right.
Villain.
You're the villain. Got it. That's what I figured. And how do you figure into the show? Have you been in before Dress for the Dressmaker? Is like.
I'm like the mom.
You're the mom.
Yes.
Got it. Now it makes 100% to me. I was just like, she's just some random dressmaker. Got it. That makes 100% to me. Got it. Yes. There's a lot of really fun stuff going on here, and I like the dynamic between the two of you of like this like at the bar and this kind of jazzy quality to the music. I think feels right. It also feels like mature, older folks that are doing this. It doesn't feel as youthful and bouncy as the music that the twins would be singing. So I think that's great. And who worked on what for this? You were both music and lyrics, or you did?
Speak into the mic.
We had a lot of collaboration happening, but more than anything else, work with music.
Great. So for the music, I think the hook for the choruses are great. Like the melodic line that you have here, that whole stuff. Dan, can you play it 102 for me? Yeah, can you maybe like some kind of accompaniment figure there you were doing? Yeah, I really love that there's like a bounce and a groove to this. I think what I want is to figure out what's happening in the earlier part with the accompaniment. I feel like there's an identity I want more of, like that's missing from these women in the accompaniment for the beginning. Even if it's free and kind of color voce, I still feel like I want some kind of rhythmic information that's happening there. So I'm looking at it as like, what I really love is this, she was gorgeous, very, very tight dress. Like, I love that lyric too, that's so fun. It's like, not even like a full thought, it's like a fragment, because you're just so angry. Like, I think that's really fun. But what is happening there with the accompaniment? Dan, do you know this is like measure 31? Yeah. What would you like there? What do you think is
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, neither of us are orchestrators.
Yeah.
So I guess when I was playing this, I had like the verse and the chorus. This is what I was thinking of as the section and all of that. There was kind of like a popping back.
Can we like give Dan some of that information just so I can get that? Because I feel like that would really be helpful to like create some tension in the scene. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so exciting.
Sorry.
But I feel like that's the very stuff that I feel like I was missing with some of this, right? Just like giving me a little bit more rhythmic and melodic information that anchors me more in the scene, because I felt like because it felt a little loose with the chords, it felt very colovoce, almost like a recit. And I wasn't sure that was your intention or not. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about with a recit, like a recitative? Something is very free, kind of like an art song or kind of aria-esque. It's this kind of colovoce off the voice thing. So that totally makes sense. And I love that chromaticism. I think that's really cool. But yeah, like the lyric, the gorgeous tight dress, I wanted some more lyrics like that. It's like broken, fun thing. Youth was no more than just a dream. Some of the sentences kind of go with the music in a sing-songy way, which I feel like I would love to break up a little bit more. That's the only other thing I was thinking of. Like, I really love the dynamic you have between the two, and I like the end. But I think there's part of it that feels like it leads right from one into another. When you have the like, into the end, that's at measure like 120. Like, this is where I was really thinking you were cooking with gas. This was my favorite part here. Gorgeous, me and my guy, very, very, and the kind of connection between the two of you. I was like, I wonder if there are other moments like that that happened earlier in the song. The like counterpoint of like one person saying something and then picking it up and running with it a little bit. Overall, I really enjoyed it. But I think like that's the big thing is like working out with them. And you do not need to be an orchestrator for this. There are plenty of folks that have had careers writing just top line. That's what we call it in the pop world. Just literally writing the melodic line and the lyric line to something. Douglas Lyons does that, but he does that, and he's an incredible songwriter. And you find someone that can help you flesh that out, and then you can better articulate, oh, this is what I want. You can also play around with beats and things.
Yeah, I was going to say, for those who were in the class last year, remember we did a class with Alex Lackamore, and we were told that when he was talking about his process,
demo, or if you don't know exactly what you want, but you like certain style of songs, give examples. Send me I had orchestrated a song of his and it wasn't lining up right, and he gave me like 7 different songs that were all kind of different. He's like, I like the guitars of this, but I like the groove of this, and I was like, oh, I see what he's resonating with. I can try to articulate that better in what I'm doing with orchestration. But I needed more information, like and sometimes you can help with like uploading that to your anonymous to get like good sense of groove. Groove is tricky. It's tricky. Yeah. Nice job.
So next up, we have Andrew and Kat.
I feel like I wish I had seen Hair Drop. Like, then this would not have been an issue. It's just been a long time since I've seen it. I have seen it. I love it very much.
Hello. My name is Andrew.
Hi, my name is Cam, and my pronouns are
My name's also Cam. No. So I wrote the music, came through the lyrics, but collaboration. This is a song for Chessie and Martin, who are the butler and.
Okay, Chessie is Hallie's nanny, and then Martin is Annie's butler. Yeah.
Got it. So this is when they're on the boat, when they're finally set up, the trap has been set, and they're serving them, and they're like in the back kitchen. So that's when this song takes place. And
kind of in the background of the titular trap, as it were.
And so we have awesome singers that keep coming up, Grace and Eli.
Very fun. Love it.
The candles, the music, there's love in the air. The two of them are close to confessing. I can't help but compare the romance they share to feelings I've held off on expressing. Well, I'm cooking, I see the way you're looking at me. It's how Nick looks at Liz, and I find I don't mind. You serve, I'll lay low. I'll be by your side as long as I'm able. Any dish you prepare, you won't do it alone.
Trying not to be distracted, the way that I feel is often not even a thought. But the way that I've acted may have revealed my feelings tonight on this spot. But I can't hide or avoid my inhibitions destroyed. If you'd let me be bold, not demur, I can hurt. You ladle, and I'll serve, and I will get what you deserve. You've been feeling the same, I wish I had known. But are you sure that we're falling for each other? Or are we just wrapped up in the atmosphere?
Well, our cloying employers met on a boat too. Who's to say a new love couldn't happen right here? Never thought I'd be reliant on my client to meet a man I might call a lover.
There's time down the line to be sentimental for tonight. Let's just enjoy each other. Spoonfuls of soups and the stews. We're in it together as the two of us cruise through the sea. You and me. You said I'll lay low. I can't imagine fate will bring us apart. This is the start of something like their love, but will be our own. You dice, I'll drizzle. You slice, I'll griddle. You stir, I'll fillet. You fry, I'll saute. With a love that is fully our own, fully our own, fully our own.
Well done, everyone. Thanks for doing great. How fun! What a great cabaret song too. This feels like very much a charm song. It feels, I don't know if you all know Frank Lesser, the wonderful, fabulous Frank Lesser who wrote Dolls. He wrote a lot of fun songs that he performed with his wife. Like It's Cold Outside, but he also wrote this song called Doing the Dishes, which is, I sing with my wife occasionally for events, and it's literally that. I'll wash you dry, that kind of thing. And it has that kind of charming, nostalgic throwback, and for older characters too, right? These are older folks, so it makes sense that their vernacular would be of an earlier era. So I feel like using this pastiche song of like a good old kind of Tin Pan Alley tune is very right for the character. I'm always thinking about writing for the character and what their voice is. And I think like musically you nailed that. That's really fun. The thing I was waiting for, I was like, oh, are they going to do anything else except Sue's Ladle? And then you did, and it made me so happy at the very end. I love all those rhymes. Really fun. So I feel like since all the other ones were perfect, I was like, I feel like you could do Drizzle and Drizzle, or I don't know.
It was Drizzle, but I think they had the wrong draft.
Oh, okay, maybe that's it. I do like Ladle and Fatal. I do like neurons like that. That's really fun. Reliance.
That was the first thing that I thought of for the whole song. I was like with my cousins, we were visiting my grandma, and I didn't have my phone on me, and I was like, quick, give me your phone, I need to text myself. And then I texted myself Ladle/Fatal.
Sometimes that's how songs come. You get like an idea and you're like, oh, that's it. That's the glue that helps me get there. The one thing I will say is most of everybody today has been an incredible job of not having misaccents, of having songs fall where strong beats are. I will maybe say it did throw my ear a little bit on the second time around at measure 36. You say you ladle and I'll serve. I feel like an I'll serve. I guess if it's 2/4, it sort of fits for me because I'm thinking I'll serve, right? So because especially the first time you set it up, you say you serve, I'll ladle, right? And this one is you ladle and I'll serve and I'll serve. And to me, I thought maybe you could do 2 8s on beat 4 and then have to serve on beat 1. Does that make sense? It just caught my ear. It's because the rest of the song is so well crafted. It was like one of those things where it's like this accent like that. We'll just like, what? But if you make it really clear that that's what you're going for and the performer understands it, you can totally make a mix accent work for you. I mean, Tim Rice made a career of making mix accents or strange accents work all over the place in a show like Evita and stuff. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it though. But because the accents work in such a weird way, it makes your ear think of them in a cool way, especially with Lord Webber's crazy time signatures. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking of Evita in particular, but because this song isn't as broken apart and fragmented as some of those weirder kind of interesting songs of those, I feel like this is like a good old charming trunk song. Watch for things like that. You know.
Also add Miss Chase. Listen to the first chorus.
expectation, because if you had it differently on the first verse, it might not have struck my ear the second time. Yeah, it's that thing of when you set up a game, like folks like Cole Porter are so brilliant about that, you know, like when you set up a rhyme scheme and then they like follow it through almost perfectly every time through. It's a tricky thing to do.
You're the Top was definitely like in my head, and also like Baby It's Cold Outside was the first song that we talked about as like an inspiration point.
Yeah, that feels totally right. It definitely has. Even What Are You Doing on New Year's Eve? That's another one that, you know, Lesser Road, that has that vibe. And Fully Our Own, I was at first like, I don't know if anybody would say Fully Our Own, but by the end of it, you won me over. I was like, this is the way they would say it. I guess this is the way they would say it. It's their own weird little thing they say. It's fully our own. And so I feel like there is use for repetition sometimes, where if you had just had it once, I would have been like, I would have called you out on it. Because you committed to it, I was like, oh, this is just the way they talk.
That was interesting.
Cool. It's really fun. This is a great cabaret song. I want to like shuffle off the buffalo doing this one. Nice work.
We are now down to our second to last song of the night. This one is by Zoe and Julie, and Zoe and Julie are going to come on up and set the song up for us, and then bring up the air for us.
Hi guys, I'm Julie. I wrote the lyrics.
I'm Zoe and I wrote the music. So our song is based on the scene where Hallie and her dad go on their yearly camping trip. And this year Meredith and Annie tag along, so things get a little bit interesting. So basically the song starts with Annie and Hallie sort of like scheming and being kind of sneaky. And melodies are meant to represent their quirky and creative character. And Meredith's part is a little bit more dissonant to represent her disagreeable personality, and at the end they all sort of come together in a very dynamic trio. Very excited for you guys to hear. Oh, and our wonderful performers are Jade, Marita, and Mia.
Yes, accent.
Sometimes can be cool.
So just for Rob, Marina, you are Meredith. And Mia, you are?
I'm Hallie.
Hallie. So Jade and Annie. Okay.
Look at her doing that ridiculous dance to scare away the lions. Annie, this is our chance. We can finally get rid of Cruella de Vil. By the end of this trip, she'll have had her fill. We can start with this cute little lizard on her cup. Then I promise you, Hallie, her time will be up. We can put some sweet sugar in her bug spray. If the lizard doesn't do it, the mosquitoes will scare her away. Quick now, come on, here she comes, here she comes. Oh, this camping trip is just so much fun. I swear she'll be gone in an hour or two. I just knew you and I would figure out what to do.
Where are you? I'm tired of this. Those girls put a lizard in my cup. It wasn't near miss. Let me tell you, just give me a month, maybe two, and those two little brats will be off at boarding school. Now I'm going to bed, and don't you dare wake me. I'm taking a pill to put me fast asleep. These mosquitoes won't leave me alone. God, I can't wait until we go home.
Quick now, come hide, here she comes, here she comes. Oh, this camping trip is just so much fun. Good night, mommy, dear, sleep tightly, sweet dreams. As that plan didn't work, guess it's time for plan B. Cruella's still here, but don't worry, we know just what to do. Quickly, quietly slide her out of bed. I hope that pill works if we can call her dead. It's time to put her in the hands of the lake.
This is so fun and really musically complicated. This is so fun. Who is responsible for all these 7, 8 times singing? Speaking of love that. Oh, it's fun. I love the, like, if you did not speak a word of English, I feel like you would understand exactly what was happening with the subtext of the characters, which I think is really smart. You understand the little scheming twins, and you understand the, like, woman that's having a bit of a breakdown. I love it. It's really fun. I am curious about the key. It feels a little high, and I'm curious of, like, because stylistically it makes me think more of it as operetta, and maybe that's what you're going for. I'm not to say right or wrong, but to my ear, I feel like if you lowered the key about a third, they would be able to put it more, mixed, maybe just voice place that might feel closer to speech. And then the, like, little conniving twins, in particular, it's the twins I'm thinking of, where if it was a little lower, I feel like it might feel a little bit closer to speech. You don't have to, but what was your kind of thought about the kind of music that you wanted to hear? Did you feel it more kind of in that operatic-y world? Uh-huh.
That was my thinking, but I think it makes sense.
Well, and you can also split the difference. If you want it kind of mixy and you don't want it to be, it just felt very soprano-y, and that's okay too. So maybe split the difference, maybe lower it like a key or two, and then maybe you can find moments that, go back and forth. I do love this, oh my gosh, the 7/8 stuff. What was so cool musically was the moment with the mosquitoes. Because you were like, I'm off to bed, don't you dare wake me, I'm taking a pill to put me, you're in the 6/8, and then you are doing, like, quarters against it, so you get the mosquitoes are killing, it's like almost like 3s against 2. I just love that. That was so fun. Like, that's really cool writing. You're using the rhythm to your advantage of, like, her getting the mosquitoes off her from the, like, off-kilterness of it all. The only, like, lyric, speaking of, like, lyric setting on certain notes that I thought was interesting that caught my ear was 2 little brats will be off at boarding school. You put the at on the highest note of that phrase, and to me, I'm not sure that at is the most important word. I would be thinking 2 little brats will be off at boarding school, right? So either of those 2 words to me feel like maybe that's where you could put the higher note. Does that make sense? Of just, like, putting notes that have a big melodic or a intervallic, distance. What is the important word in the phrase? Love this ending. It's really fun. Oh, last little weird lyric that I was like, hands of the lake. That was interesting. I don't think I've heard that expression, but we'll put her in the hands of a lake. That's kind of fun. I was like, it's kind of mean, but it's like we'll put her in the hands of the lake and see what happens. I was like, I love that. Also, like, I wonder if there's another way of saying that would be. It was the middle. It's time to put her in the middle of the lake. It's just because I've never heard that expression. It went by quickly, right? Just the hands of the lake. That was weird. But I liked it. It's lots of fresh imagery and lots of really interesting music. So I really liked it.
I do have a question for you, Rob.
Yeah.
I was having a chat with Zoe about this in their rehearsal last week, the week before. So there was that really challenging 7/8 section.
Yeah.
Marina handled it expertly.
Absolutely.
But what, for you personally, how often do you let yourself go to a place of writing something that you know is going to be rhythmically or perhaps harmonically or melodically really challenging for performer? When do you allow yourself to do that?
If it feels right for the moment of the character. I mean, it's very much in the show we're working on right now. The character is having in our show is having a nervous breakdown. It didn't feel right because the rest of the show is all pop songs for that character to have another pop song nervous breakdown. We wanted fragments of those things. So we have a measure of 9/8, a measure of 5/4, a measure of 4/4. It doesn't have to be in multiple time signatures necessarily, but it was a sense of stop, start, and fragmentation that felt, okay, we've earned this. But there's also composers, look at Gettle, look at Sondheim, folks that love playing with very dense, very tricky time signatures, but if they feel right in the moment with the character and they work with the melodic phrasing, you're not paying attention to the craft of how smart the writer is, you're paying attention to the character and the moment they're having on stage. So I think if it's warranted, by all means, throw in all the crazy time signatures and dissonance you want, as long as it doesn't throw me and I'm not thinking, oh, I'm watching a really smart writer, instead of I'm watching the story. Because to me, all I care about is the story. Nice job. Nice job, Dan, playing that too. That's hard.
So we've arrived at our finale of the evening. And we have Ashley coming up to represent Team Ashley and Jivan. Unfortunately, Jivan couldn't be with us tonight. So Ashley, come on up and set us up.
I feel like I really want to watch The Fair Trap tonight. I feel like it's going to happen. My wife's going to be like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, need to get some Fair Trap on.
Well, this song is with Hallie and Nick.
Yeah.
I play Hallie and Kyle plays Nick. And so basically, Hallie's speaking to Annie and Nick is speaking to Elizabeth. And we're really like not. So like we're together, but like we're not together. That makes sense. We're saying different people.
Got it.
And then so yeah, and this moment is when Elizabeth and Annie come home to Nick and Hallie at the very end of the movie, and they like reunite as a family, and like everything is cool again. Basically.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you want to share just a tiny bit about how your collaboration with Jivan works?
Yeah. So we're both kind of music people. So I wrote the melodic line, and then Jivan wrote the accompaniment, and then we both tag team the lyrics, kind of.
Cool.
So yeah.
That's a cool way of working. I like that.
All right, so Kyle, come on up.
Okay.
Hey Mom, did you know we'll never let you go? We got here as fast as we could. Hey sis, can't you see? We don't have to be separated. After these years apart,
you are still in my heart.
It may be cheesy, but it's true.
I will always love you. The moment you left, I realized how much I care for you. You are the one I belong to. With every dream I think of you. I made a mistake not coming after you.
I made a mistake not to believe that after these years apart,
you still are in my heart.
It may be cheesy, but it's true.
I will always love you.
We will never let you go. We need you to know you are my everything. We can't get past anything. We are meant to be, and now it's clear to see. I love you, it's guaranteed.
lovely way to end our evening with a cute, lovely love song. I really like some of what's happening with the melodic line of the melody too. I think it's really cool. You have some cheesy, but it's true. You have some really fun like rhythmic stuff there too, and you have some cool chromaticism happening, right? When you have like notes going down scale. I made a mistake. I thought that's really fun. That goes with the lyric really nicely there. You have like some nice at the end at like measure 36. You have the minor triad or chord that's happening underneath it, and then you end up together, which is really sweet. The only thing I will say is that the ending, I wanted a little bit more. I feel like you set up this chorus, I will always love you, and it's I love it's guaranteed. I feel like I wanted more, like that it's guaranteed keychain or something into the it may mistake. You know what I mean? I do. I want to like bring it home. It's the end of the show. It's okay. You've earned it. It's a short song, and I feel like you haven't overstayed your welcome. I kind of wanted more. It's really fun. Talk to me about like what happens at like the very beginning.
So like the lyrics part?
Well, in the music, I like that. Like, yeah, music-wise, I think what's happening there is it really sparse. Like, I don't have any chord information there that's happening.
Okay, well, basically, I think I'm just like speaking kind of.
So it's a little bit more like off the voice.
Yeah. And then it like goes into singing more when Nick starts singing by himself.
Yeah. And I do like the going back and forth between the 2/4 measures and the 4/4. It's kind of like they're gearing up to be like they're a little hesitant, and then they're in a chorus, and they're a little hesitant, then they're in a chorus. So I kind of like that extra like 2 beats. But Dan, can you play 26? Because this is the part that I really like the most here. That I made a mistake. Yeah, it's the harmonic spelling. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at the lyrics. Okay. That makes sense, because I was like, it was a little funky with the yeah, but I still like that. That's really cool. This like descending line of like, I made this mistake, and then you have the like, I'll always love you, which I really like a lot. I just want more. What do you think you would do for the ending? Yeah. I think you could do the chorus again, yeah, because it just feels like it's a little like, come on, bring it home. Yeah.
Yeah, that partly has to do with the song placement too, the fact that it is sitting at the end of the show.
This is a great thing to bring up too. It's like, when you get your chance to have like a big song moment, and when it's something just feel like more of a smaller moment for your character. In the show that Anna and I are working on, we have a secondary character that has a really important role in the show, but if she's in Act 1, if we give her too much of a big song, she's going to feel like too important of a character. And then we're going to give too much emotional a weight that we're investing in that character. And I truncated her song. I made it a very tight 32 bars. And then we use a reprise at the end where it gets to feel bigger with that character. In this song, because it's happening at the end of the show, I think you do want to have like a little bit more of something that's resolved. Whereas like, there's a couple places where it's like, I don't necessarily have to have the longest song in the world for this particular song moment, you know what I mean? But if it's like a big sequence of stuff where the twins are plotting multiple things, it might be a bigger, long sequence. Yeah. Y'all, this has been amazing. I am so impressed with the level of songwriting you've brought in today. It's so different, but it all feels cohesive. Like, I would go pay to see this musical. It seems like a really fun show. I can see it.
You can come for free, Rob. This has really been a spectacular evening, and it's because of how tremendous this collaboration has been between not only the students within MTS, but also our collaboration with HSA and NIFA and Malloy Cap 21. Thank you to Grant Anderson, who's been coaching the HSA students. Also Anna Anderson, who coached Bella from NIFA. And most importantly, thank you, Rob Rokicki.
Thank you so much for having me.
I have one thing to say to my students, and it's regarding our next class. So we have no class next Tuesday, but 2 Tuesdays from now we will be meeting. Location to be confirmed. We may be in New York U Symphony's new office space by then, which has a built-in rehearsal space. But we will have to confirm that with you. And in that class, Brooke and Elena are going to be sharing a first draft of their closing number, and Cam and Devere are going to be sharing a first draft of their opening number, and I'm not going to be the one critiquing. You're going to be the ones critiquing. And then I'm going to share with you an original dance choreographed by the guest choreographer who's going to be coming in, Ani Taj. And Ani's dance is then going to be the source material for a songwriting activity that's going to be our last songwriting activity of the year. It's going to be character-based and inspired by this dance. So we're going to be having a lot of fun 2 weeks from now. As with all of the classes where you're being asked to write on the spot, please bring any writing tools you want, whether that's something to a notebook or something to type into, or, Andrew, you might want to have your guitar, that sort of thing, ukulele, feel free to bring that stuff in, or we'll have some keyboards available. Okay? Thank you. Congratulations, everyone. Can we mask up and have a group photo on the stage with Rob? Sure. Ian, do you want to take that?